Hey everyone, this is Randall, and welcome back to the Imperial Minis channel for Battle Report number 31 in our ongoing A Song of Ice and Fire Battle Report series. This video will be the first of several in a series of videos dedicated to the summer Texas tournament scene. Over the course of this summer, I've attended several tournaments in various cities here in Texas, and I've been fortunate enough to have been able to film games at each of them. For a bit of context for those not acquainted with the state of Texas, it is a pretty big state. Here we see the United Kingdom superimposed over the state of Texas. Not so great now, are we, Britain? Now, for my friends in Germany, you could cram the entire country of Germany into this one state as well. Alright, well, enough with the geography lesson. This video and the video following this one were filmed at Battleground Collectibles in Belton, Texas. This was a huge tournament by local US standards at least, with a total of 18 players hailing from cities across Texas and indeed from states across the country. I had a great time meeting a ton of players I'd never met before and getting in 4 games of Song in the span of one day. I want to give a huge shout out to Battleground Collectibles for hosting, and a special shout out to Will, who works at the store, for doing a fantastic job TOing the tournament, arranging for the amazing prize support, and even catering lunch at the event so the players didn't have to spend time going off-site. This game was filmed during round 3 of a 4-round tournament and featured the top 2 players of that round, Andre playing Lannisters and Bryan playing Starks. The game mode for this round was a Clash of Kings. The next Battle Report video will feature the final round of the tournament, the top table match, and it will star the winner of this game and a mystery night. Stay tuned for that one. I produced that video alongside this one, so it should be releasing within a couple of weeks. Now let's take a look at the armies for this game before moving on to our deployment review. Alright, taking a look at Andre's list, he is running Gregor Clegane in a unit of Casterly Rock Honor Guard. Honor Guard, you're going to see them in pretty much every Lannister list. They're just amazing 7-point infantry. They've gone from like one of the worst infantry in the game from a cost perspective to like the best 7-point infantry unit, arguably. So Gregor's in there to deal death and destruction. He's got a couple of kind of hold the line units a little bit here. He's got the Halberdiers and the Lannisport City Watch, each of whom has a Gate Warden in them. I will say Andre is really enamored with the Gate Wardens. You'll see them in this list and in the next match as well. I think I'm not as plugged into the Lannister meta as other folks, but the Gate Wardens, in my experience, and in observing this game and other games of Andre's, have just put in a ton of work with superior numbers, reinforcements, just getting some trickle healing in. So I think these things they're just a really, really solid attachment. And then for the really, really scary element of this list, he's got Pyromancers with a Champion of the Faith, so that the champion can throw out a panic token to help guarantee that whoever the Pyromancers are attacking will take extra wounds from a failed panic test. We've got Joffrey Baratheon there to make units take more panic wounds, so presumably the Joffrey will go on to whoever the Pyromancers are planning to attack. High Sparrow is there to heal some of Andre's units when other units fail panic tests. And then Tywin is there to do what Tywin does, just completely wrecking a unit or spreading the love and causing some serious issues with multiple units in the list. Also, he had a couple of extra attachment points, so he threw a couple of turncoats in the list to throw a condition token out there when he needs it, and throw a wound out there when he needs it. And for those armies that have access to an enemy attachment, there's really never any way that those armies are going to have excess attachment points on the table. So you've got Lannisters with the turncoats. You've got Starks with the Jaqen prisoner. Yeah, very efficient list, maxed out on points, and I think it'll do pretty well. Taking a look at Bryan's list, Bryan's got a Rodrik Cassel led list. It is a higher activation list than Andre's list. So it's 8 activations versus Andre's 7. So Andre will get a couple of pass tokens. And Rodrik Cassel is in house number Great Axes. There's Bowman with a Crannog Warden, which is a pretty dangerous unit potentially to get a lot of free attacks. That bowman is going to radiate out like a pretty big threat range, and if you're going to jump into that threat range and start eating free attacks, you're going to really need to close the distance quickly. He's got Loyalists here with a Winterfell champion in them to give them crit blow in addition to their native vicious, and then weaken units on the charge. And then he's got the House Armor Berserkers with Rickard Karstark and Greywind rounding out the combat units. On the NCU side, he's got Arya and Sansa, who are all-time favorites in Stark lists, put in a lot of work and are just very valuable NCUs. And for his third NCU, he's got Robb Stark, King in the North, for some outflank shenanigans. And in a moment for our deployment, we'll see if Bryan elects to outflank, and if so, which unit he decides to outflank with, because that'll be a really big decision for him. All right, now we'll look at deployment and my initial assumptions before getting on with the game. So looking at deployment here, Bryan has decided to outflank his bowmen, and this is what the game will look like when the game begins. So the game begins, Andre will be first player, so that forces Bryan to outflank in round 1 or wait until round 3. So he outflanks the bowmen right there on Andre's side of the table, presumably to start poking at the City Watch and making a nuisance of themselves, and maybe hold on to that leftmost objective. And then in the center, Bryan's list is a little thinner than Andre's. Andre has kind of 2 somewhat anchor units on the flanks in the Halberdiers and the City Watch, and then his heavy damage dealers in the middle. Greywind is there in the middle to presumably be able to react to wherever he needs to go. He can maybe swing around to whichever flank needs attention. But that's pretty much it. There's not too much to say other than the just the outflank decision here. Everything else presumably will kind of move forward in a straight line. In a second here, we'll look at initial plans. I'm not going to do my usual kind of worst case scenario assumptions for enemy courses of action here, because I'm not the one playing in this game. So I'm just going to do my kind of initial assumptions of each player's plan, which I drafted before even watching the video. So my takes here on their initial plans will be completely unblemished with any previous experience. So this is what I think that Bryan's initial plan will be, to kind of scoot those bowmen forward to get them into threat range of the Lannisport City Watch. And like I said a minute ago, I assume his front line is going to mostly move forward. I'm kind of predicting that the Berserkers and the Loyalists will consolidate on one of the points on that right point, presumably, while the Great Axes will kind of march into the center objective, try to hold out as much as possible, and leverage the arrow fire of the bowmen and the support of Greywind to kind of keep them in the game and harass whichever of Andre's units move into that area to oppose them. Now, as for Andre's initial plan, I think he will probably ignore the bowmen. If it was me, I would just ignore the bowmen probably and just try to make for the center of the table and throw the weight of my army against Bryan as quickly as I could. So I'm guessing that he's going to send his halberds onto one objective, send the City Watch onto the other objective, have the City Watch just try to hold out against the attacks of the bowmen, because once per turn they can pop that order to become tankier. And then I'm predicting that he's going to have the Pyromancers and Honor Guard just kind of be a sledgehammer to try to smash through the center of Bryan's army, hopefully knocking out Rodrik Cassel and the Great Axes, picking up Greywind, and then pushing through whatever other units Bryan is pushing in there. Because really, Andre's list is just super dangerous if he's able to keep Ser Gregor engaged in combat and just swinging at things, and if he can keep the Pyromancers out of trouble. So I think if the Pyromancers and Ser Gregor are kind of moving together and just diving straight in, they can do a lot of work, because There's no range threats for them if they're moving straight up the field. The bowmen are all the way off on the side. So as long as the City Watch can just sit there and absorb arrows for a while, I think that's value. You know, if they're just sitting on that objective, soaking up arrows but not dying, I think they'll be fine. And then the two really offensive pieces of Andre's army can just go in there, guns blazing. So that's what my prediction is for what Andre's going to do. And I have no further notes to provide before we begin, so without further ado, sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. Alright, the game starts off with Andre as first player. He has a start of turn effect, placing a Lannister pays his debts on the Casterly Rock Honor Guard. This is the Lannister's quest card to give a unit a couple of buffs if one of their friendly units has been killed. Bryan then plays his quest card as well, the North Remembers, on the Karstark Loyalists. For his activation, Andre activates Joffrey NCU, claiming the Tactics Zone. He places a Weakened token on the Outflanked Bowmen, and then places Joffrey's Influence effect on the Umber Berserkers. Bryan activates Robb NCU and claims the Swords. He places Robb's Influence effect on the Umber Berserkers, and then targets the Stark Bowmen with the Swords, giving them a free attack. Both players had pre-measured their range before the game began, so the Bowmen will shift forward 2 inches and attack the Lannisport City Watch with 7 dice on a 3+.
I can't roll on the tray. Here we go. I got it.
So I'll weaken you.
You'll weaken me. No. Take 5. Minus
Okay.
1.
5 minus 1, 5 ups. Nothing but net. Panic check.
Minus 1.
They pass. Cool. So 5 casualties.
Andre activates the High Sparrow NCU, placing his influence on the Stark Bowmen and healing 3 wounds back to the injured City Watch. Bryan activates Sansa NCU and passes with her in order to maintain tempo and leave the remaining 2 board positions open for the remaining 2 NCUs. The players then also remember that the City Watch would have been weakened from the Bowman attack, but that would have also that token would have been cleared from the Wallstone effect, so players are just cool with it. Andre activates Tywin NCU and claims the maneuver zone, giving the City Watch a free maneuver and moving them closer to charge distance with the Stark Bowmen. Once this move is complete, Bryan pops the Bowman's Overwatch order, giving them a free attack against the City Watch.
I'm gonna cook my order. I think I have to cook it now.
What does your order do?
+1 to defense dice and +2 to panic checks.
Okay. 5, 6.
Cool. 5 on 3s. Okay. So.
Oh, sorry. I'm going to shift.
Yeah.
Why shoot you?
And we pass. So 3 casualties.
Cool. And weakened?
Yep.
Bryan then activates his Stark Bowman with the intention of getting a 3rd shot into the City Watch. Andre then immediately plays Subjugation of Power to have the Bowmen take a panic test and possibly lose their abilities, but they manage to pass the test.
Shift and shoot you.
Yep.
3 saves.
Hooray. 3 4 ups. And we pass. Cool.
Okay.
2 casualties. My man? Okay, there we go.
Andre now activates the City Watch, who restore 2 wounds from the Gate Warden attachment. He declares a desperate charge on the Bowmen, needing a 5-up.
So, need a 5. Get over here!
Cool. Alright.
So 6 dice now. Charge reroll. Would you like me to weaken?
Yes.
2 saves. 2 dead
gone.
guys.
Panic.
Yep.
You're good.
Bryan activates Arya NCU and claims the crown, zapping the City Watch with a panic test. At the start of Andre's turn, Bryan pops an Arya token to take a free maneuver or retreat action. He retreats the Bowman 6 inches, just outside of the melee, but still well within an easy charge by the City Watch next round. For his activation, Andre uses his first pass token. Bryan activates his Umber Great Axes, then measures out the maximum threat range of the Pyromancers after a march and a ranged attack action, and marches the Great Axes forward just outside of that maximum pyro threat range. Andre activates the Halberdiers and marches them forward 10 inches, keeping the forest protecting his front from any frontal charge. Bryan now activates his Umber Berserkers and maneuvers them forward. Andre activates Sir Gregor's Honor Guard and marches them forward 10 inches. At this point, Andre realizes he didn't measure the Halberdiers' march correctly, so both players agree that he can correct that, and Andre moves the Halberdiers up in line with Sir Gregor's unit. While the players are sorting this out, Bryan took his turn to activate and march up his Karstark Loyalists. Andre next activates the Pyromancers and marches them forward in line with Sir Gregor, then pivots slightly to keep in line of sight of as much of the Stark front line as possible. For the last activation of the round, Bryan activates Greywind and moves him around the Loyalists to threaten the flank of both the Pyromancers and the City Watch. At the end of round 1, Bryan discards 1 card and draws 2.
Are you Taiwanese?
I'm going to...
At the start of the first turn of round 2, Andre decides to pop Tywin NCU. He selects the Umber Great Axes to lose all abilities for the round.
Units.
He then gives the rest of the Tywin effects to the Stark Bowmen in an effort to destroy them early in the round,
Which
or
is
seriously
panicked,
hobble them.
vulnerable, 4 hits, and a panic test.
Yep.
3 dead.
Sure.
Le Panic.
I'll play Field 2 to the Crown, so you'll take... so it's still just 2, but I'm going to heal here.
Bryan activates Rob NCU and claims the swords. He influences the Umber Berserkers and targets the Stark Bowmen with the swords to give them a free attack against the Lannisport City Watch.
Just back and shoot you.
Yep.
Alright, E3s.
Cool.
What?
I'm deciding whether or not I burn my order here. I'll hold.
4 saves.
Okay. Okay. So 3 casualties and a panic check. We pass.
Come on, man. Just fail 1.
Nah.
That's all I'm asking for. Okay?
All right.
Andre next activates the Lannisport City Watch and declares a charge against the Stark Bowmen, needing a 2+ to successfully charge. The City Watch will heal 1 with the Gate Warden when they activate.
Made it.
Yep.
Bam.
We'll cook the order, I guess.
So what's the order do?
Sundering and Crit Blow.
Okay. And what's it hit on?
4s.
4s. How many attacks?
6.
Before the City Watch attack, Bryan plays Martial Superiority to make the City Watch take 1 hit for each miss. Due to the Gate Warden and the fact that the Bowmen have the same ranks as the City Watch, they cannot be weakened. Bryan didn't realize this when he played the card, unfortunately.
Oh, I can't expend it.
Correct. So I'll take 2 hits and you'll take 6.
I forgot I couldn't expend your weekend.
So,
They go poof. Okay.
After the Bowmen are destroyed, the City Watch surge forth to more or less pivot in place over the objective. Bryan activates Sansa NCU and uses her once per game ability to recover Martial Superiority from his discard pile. He claims the Tactic Zone, draws 2 cards, and weakens the Pyromancers. Andre activates Joffrey NCU and claims the Wealth Zone. He heals 3 to the City Watch, removes their weakened token, and places Joffrey's influence on the Umber Berserkers. Bryan activates Greywind and declares a charge.
That's not good. 4 dice. E3s.
sure.
Take 2. -1.
2 on 5s. 2 casualties, no panic check.
Yep.
Andre then activates Tywin NCU and passes with him. Bryan activates Arya NCU and claims the Maneuver Zone. The Umber Berserkers maneuver closer to the board edge and in front of the forest to give them a defensive bonus if they are charged. Andre activates the High Sparrow NCU and claims the Crown Zone, influencing the Loyalists and making them take a panic test at -1.
They're good.
Yep.
At the start of Bryan's turn, Andre pops the Turncoat in the Berserkers to make that unit suffer 1 wound and pick up a weakened token. For his activation, Bryan activates the Umber Great Axes and maneuvers them back, further out of range of the Pyromancers. Andre uses his turn to burn his second pass token, giving him more tempo this round. Bryan activates his Umber Berserkers and decides to maneuver them backwards. Andre plays Subjugation of Power on them when they activate, triggering a panic test at -2.
Yeah.
I'm good.
Later in the round, Bryan realizes that due to the Rickard Karstark attachment, the Berserkers should have taken a morale test to see if they had to charge the Halberdiers. He later takes the morale test and passes. Andre activates his Halberdiers and marches them forward to claim the top objective. Bryan activates his Karstark Loyalists and maneuvers them backwards slightly. Andre uses the Pyromancer's Warcry order at the start of the turn. The morale test is successful, and the Great Axes pick up a panic token. Andre then activates Sir Gregor's Honor Guard and maneuvers them forward. Bryan is activated out, so Andre activates his Pyromancers and maneuvers them forward to cover the center objective. It's the end of round 2. Andre scores 2 points, taking him to 3 VPs. Andre starts off the round committing the first of what will surely be many war crimes this game by activating Joffrey NCU, claiming the swords, influencing the Umber Great Axes, and targeting the Pyromancers to take a free wildfire attack against the Great Axes.
Would you like me to weaken?
Yes, please.
So, 3 dead.
Panic.
Check at -2.
Would you like me to roll?
I'll re-roll the 6 with a panic.
-2, they're good on 7.
At the start of Bryan's turn, Andre pops the Turncoat in the Great Axes, giving them a wound and a weaken token. For Bryan's activation, he activates Rob NCU and claims the Wealth Zone. He heals the Great Axes for 3 wounds and removes the weaken token. He then places Rob's influence on the Karstark Loyalists.
I'll go High Sparrow letters. I'll give the weakened again. And I will High Sparrow influence that unit, I guess. And I'll draw 2 cards.
Bryan activates Sansa NCU and passes with her. Andre starts off his turn by using the Pyro's Warcry order to repanic the Great Axes, but they fail the morale test. Andre then activates the Pyromancers and attacks the Great Axes again with their Wildfire, throwing 7 dice at 3+.
7 casualties. Panic at -2. That'll fail, but only for 1. 2, Joffrey. Actually, I should have, but I didn't. Okay.
Bryan activates Arya NCU, and Andre uses Intrigue and Subterfuge on her. Bryan claims the crown, zapping the Halberdiers with a panic test.
Vibe check need a 7. They pass.
Every time.
Andre activates the Lannisport City Watch, who then heal 2 wounds due to the Gate Warden attachment. They declare an attack against Greywind and pop their adaptive style order to pick up Crit Blow and Sundering. Bryan now plays his Martial Superiority card on them again, so they'll take a hit for every missed attack die. Due to Greywind engaging them, they are hitting on a 5+.
Take 2, and you'll take 7, of course.
2.
He lives. Panic check.
He's
Okay,
good.
you did think about it. Okay, and that's them.
Bryan next activates Greywind, who luckily only suffered 2 wounds from that previous attack. He retreats Greywind since he's no longer contesting that objective, and pulls Greywind back into the flank of the Pyromancers. Andre activates Tywin NCU and claims the maneuver zone, maneuvering the Pyromancer off of the point, but putting Greywind in their line of sight for a potential follow-up attack next round. Bryan activates the Umber Berserkers and rolls a morale test for Rickard Karstark to see if he has to charge with a guaranteed 6. He passes the test, but declares a charge anyway.
Charge. Dude,
I'm sorry,
you're
bro.
killing me. Can't do that, so we'll go here.
Are you
Separate
gonna?
charge?
Oh yeah. Rerolls. So that'll be 4 saves at -1.
I'll cook my order.
Panic.
They're good.
Yep.
8 dice. Need 3
So you'll take 1 wound for the order.
at the end of the attack. No rerolls. 7 saves -1.
I'll cook weaken.
1 save -1.
A 5-up. You take it. Panic check. They fuck.
Andre immediately activates the Halberdiers. He doesn't bother removing the 1 wound from the previous attack because they would have just healed it back automatically anyway with the Gate Warden. He declares an attack, rolling 7 dice on 4+ with rerolls and sundering.
Nothing but net, baby. And that's them.
Bryan activates his Karstark Loyalists and just kind of moves them back slightly. Bryan is now activated out, so Andre activates Sir Gregor's Honor Guard and declares a charge into the flank of the Berserkers. He won't get charge rerolls because of the wall, but he still needs to roll to see if he gets cards.
Do I get charge cards?
Andre successfully charges and takes rerolls from the Honor Guard's ability, rolling 7 dice on 3+ with rerolls.
So 7 dice on 3s. Reroll. So 6 saves and 2 wounds.
4s to 5s to 6s back to 5s for the wall.
They're 4s base?
Right now they are.
Oh, for the wall. Yeah. You're good.
3.
So 6 casualties. +2 for Greg.
So 5?
Because you failed. Because you fail on 4s.
No. Oh, you're right. They're dead.
Okay.
The Berserkers are destroyed, and Sir Gregor surges forth back in line with his halberds and pyromancers. That's the end of round 3, and Andre will score 2 additional points from the objectives this round. Round 4 begins with Bryan activating Rob NCU and claiming the maneuver zone. He gives Greywind a free maneuver to put him in the flank and out of line of sight of the pyromancers. At the start of his turn, Andre attempts a war cry from the pyromancers. The roll is successful, and the Great Axes become panicked. Andre activates Tywin NCU and claims the crown, zapping the Great Axes and dropping a Hear Me Roar for a net -4 modifier to the Great Axes. With the Great Axes destroyed, the score goes to 8-0, and Bryan calls it there, shaking hands and ending the game. Alright, now let's take a quick look at the round-by-round action before going over some of my closing thoughts about this battle. Alright, looking at the end of round 1, the Stark Bowmen have taken some shots at the Lannister City Watch and are kind of scooting backwards, trying to keep them at arm's reach a little bit. Greywind is kind of going between the Pyromancers and the City Watch to potentially flank charge one of them. The Great Axes kind of moved up as far as they could, but the Loyalists and Berserkers are being a bit cagey and moving up just slightly. Meanwhile, Andre's army is more or less moving up in unison with one another. And now going into round 2, the Bowmen have been destroyed. The Lannister City Watch are comfortably on that left objective. Bryan's army is still, you can see they're just still barely over the line of their deployment line. They're being very cagey and hesitant to move forward at this point. I think from in my personal experience with the Pyromancers they just create such a threat to people that people just really kind of get a little bit paralyzed when they see Pyromancers, because when you're facing something that you have no recourse to kind of save yourself from, I think people have a little bit of like crippling fear, I would say. So I think even though the Pyromancers are very squishy, the fact that you just are going to take wounds from them for the most part, that you're not going to roll any defense dice, just keeps people a little bit worried about getting close to them. So Bryan's front line is really moving slowly here and conceding the most of the map really to Andre at this point. Then at the end of round 3, we see that Bryan's forces are just really on the ropes at this point. The Umber Berserkers have been knocked out. Andre's army is still just kind of in a nice little line there, holding the center of the map. The Umber Great Axes are just living on borrowed time right now. They've retreated out and pulled all the way to the back, but I mean, they're just on their last legs right now. The Loyalists haven't really accomplished much at all. They're still just kind of hanging out. And then moving into end of game, so the Great Axes got crown zapped, and at that point, players just shook hands because there was really nothing that Bryan could do at this point to pull this game back. All right, so how did this battle go? Well, I think Bryan made some mistakes on deployment. First of all, I believe that outflanking his bowman was a big mistake. I think he was hoping to be able to pick off one of Andre's units before that unit could really do anything about it, or at the very least keep one of Andre's units busy chasing them while taking losses. But the trouble is that bowmen melt to a stiff breeze, so Andre could commit one of his less valuable units to pursuing them, and as long as that kept the bowman from attacking his high-value pyromancers or honor guard, he'd probably be happy. As luck would have it, the City Watch destroyed the bowman quite easily, especially after getting a really lucky charge, which left Bryan behind on activations early on and giving him no ranged response to the pyromancers. From early on, Bryan was playing a very defensive game, trying to keep Andre's army at arm's reach, but not really doing much productive and allowing Andre to dictate the flow of battle. Matters were not helped by Bryan's seeming inability to pull off a successful charge. Having so many charges be disorderly really messed up the Starks' game plan because they have so many cards that trigger upon a charge or an attack. My biggest suggestion for Bryan would have been to relocate the bowman into the center of his line. Having the bowman there with the overwatch order of the Cranog Warden would have really punished Andre's advance and could have been very effective at countering the pyromancers, who really melt under ranged attack. Now let's look at an alternate deployment scheme that I would recommend for this army. So here's my alternate deployment suggestion. The only change really is I've swapped the bowman with Greywind. So outflanking Greywind is a pretty low risk move for Bryan. At the very worst, he's going to have Greywind just sitting there on that point and just absorbing victory points for him from round 2 onwards. I highly doubt that Andre would try to march his City Watch all the way over there to try to attack Greywind. I mean, Greywind can just move so much faster than the City Watch that if Greywind was truly threatened by the City Watch, he would just duck out of there. So I think if Greywind was sitting over there, Bryan would have been able to just get a free victory point for a few rounds of the game. And then having the bowman right there smack dab in the center of his army would have really threatened Andre's pyromancers, probably would have kept them back more, would have let Bryan's army go man-to-man a little bit easier against Andre's front line, and he would have maybe had a little bit more of a hope of brawling in the center instead of what happened where the bowmen were wiped out early in the game, and then Bryan was just kind of staying back away from Andre's army for most of the rest of the game, just getting picked off one by one. Well, that does it for this battle. I want to thank both Bryan and Andre for agreeing to be filmed, and a big thanks to Battleground Collectibles for letting me film in their store. Our next video will feature the final top table match of this tournament, so stay tuned for that one. Like I said, it should come in the next couple of weeks. If you enjoyed the video and haven't already, be sure to like and subscribe, and until next time, this is Randall signing off.